Here is a question most people never think to ask. Evil does not just exist, it wins. Over and over again throughout history, it wins. The Aztecs built pyramids out of human skulls. The Romans sacrificed their enemies at the temple of Jupiter and called it a celebration. And today we watch things happen on our phones that would have been unimaginable just decades ago. So why? Why does evil keep winning? And more importantly, what does it have to do with you? Forget politics. Forget history for a moment. Imagine a group of 100 men dropped onto a remote island with no way off. They come from different countries. They do not share a language. They have no weapons. Now, most of us would assume that hopeless people give up. But human history says something completely different happens. When people face a true threat with no escape, something gets activated inside them. They come together. They develop a shared language almost overnight. They create stories about why they are there and what they are meant to do. They find a leader, and here is the key part. They do not pick the smartest man in the room. They pick the one willing to sacrifice himself for everyone else. The man who shows he's ready to die is the one everyone follows. This is not a theory. This is a pattern that repeats itself across all of human history. The Spartan education system was not about reading or mathematics. Young boys were taken from their families at age 5 or 6 and placed in groups run by older boys who beat them constantly. This sounds horrible, and it was. But here is what it created: brotherhood. These young boys could only survive by protecting each other. Over years of shared suffering, they developed something rare: genuine unity, a kind of hive mind where soldiers could act together without speaking. That shared identity, built through suffering, is why 300 Spartans could hold off an army of hundreds of thousands at Thermopylae. In the 1850s, a young man who failed his government exams 4 times, read a Christian pamphlet, had a vision of Jesus, and declared himself the brother of Christ. Within 10 years, he had built a movement that nearly overthrew the entire Qing dynasty, one of the most powerful empires in the world. How? Because his followers combined 2 things that make armies nearly unstoppable: religious devotion and revolutionary anger. When soldiers believe God is on their side and that they are fighting against injustice, they stop being afraid to die, and that changes everything. There is a concept that helps explain why groups sometimes do the most extreme and destructive things publicly, things they could easily hide. The reason is not incompetence. The reason is that public, visible sacrifice creates unity. When a group commits a taboo act in front of the world, it forces its own members to choose a side. There is no going back. The taboo becomes a wall at your back. Just like the ancient Chinese military strategy of forcing your army to retreat to a river so they have no choice but to fight. When escape is impossible, people become dangerous. Here's the uncomfortable truth underneath all of this. The mechanisms that create evil are the same mechanisms that create courage, loyalty, and greatness. There is no clean separation. Shared suffering builds real community. Initiation rituals, however brutal, create identity. The willingness to die for something transforms ordinary people into extraordinary ones. Every secret society, every military elite, every revolutionary movement in history has used these same tools. The question is not whether these forces exist. They clearly do. The question is what story they serve. What are people being unified around, and who benefits from their sacrifice? History shows us that those who understand this machinery, who understand how cohesion and sacrifice and myth-making work, tend to accumulate power. They build networks that outlast individual leaders. They pass rituals and loyalty down through generations. And they do all of this while most people around them are focused on the surface of events, never looking at the architecture underneath. So what can you actually do with this knowledge? The first step is simply to see it. Most people go through life reacting to events as if they are random, as if the chaos of the world just happens. But power has a structure, groups have dynamics, history has patterns. When you understand that unity, identity, sacrifice, and shared myth are the core building blocks of every powerful group in history, you start looking at the world differently. You start asking better questions. Who is being unified around what story? Who benefits from the fear or the anger being generated right now? And what narrative am I being asked to join? That kind of thinking does not make you cynical. It makes you harder to manipulate. And in the world we are living in, that might be the most valuable skill you can develop. Subscribe if you want to keep going deeper. There is much more to uncover.